Hello and welcome back to another week of Sambo iRacing. We're back with another track guide, this time in the McLaren 570s GT4 and at Donington Park circuit at night in the dark where there isn't a single lamppost to light the way. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and as always we're going to do a hot lap breakdown and we'll be back in the cockpit one final time with the driving line on. This is obviously using the sprint fixed setup as always. Right. Let's start the hot lap. Right, let's start the hot lap. So smashing it down the main straight, coming up to T1, looking for that cone on the left-hand side, go through it, brake up to about short of 70%, drop it down to third, back on the gas, exit nice and wide, cut the corner here through two, as we go up through the gears and we go down into the abyss. Onto the brakes, back on the gas. We're going to be looking to cut most of these corners. Quite lenient with the off tracks. Again, flat through here. Now we brake hard up to about 70%. Drop it down to third, cut the corner, exit wide. Stay over on the left-hand side just before we get to the top of the hill. We're going to brake up to about 60% again. Again, dropping it down to third gear. Flat out through the next two corners. Head back over to the right-hand side as we go past the exhibition centre. Now we're going to brake up to about 80%, drop it down to third, on the gas as early as possible. Once we get to the curbing, on the brakes again up to about 80%, dropping it down to second gear in this car. Picking it up smoothly, back over to the right-hand side. We're going to do the same corner but in reverse next time. So on to the rumble strip, braking up to about 80 again, down to second gear, smoothly back on the power, exit wide and across the line in a 133.6. Right, let's do the breakdown. Right, breakdown. So we go through this cone this time and we brake up to about 68%. It can be that fine. Yeah, relatively hard. Getting onto third gear. I try and avoid cutting this one corner because, as I say, on the other guy, there is quite a bump there. On the gas, nice and smoothly. Flat out through turn two. It does keep falling away from you. Go over to the right-hand side. Now we're just going to do a... no, we're flat through turn three. Sorry. Right. So we get through turn three flat, and now as it opens up, you get on the brakes to about 70%, trail that off, drop it down to third, cutting the corner at four. Flat. Flat again. And now once we get through this apex, straighten the wheel up, putting it on the brakes up to about 70%. And again, trailing it off, dropping it down to third, trying to cut the corner a little bit with your right-hand tyres. Exiting wide. Opening up turn 8. And again, just before we get to the top of the hill, going to brake up to about 60%. Drop it down to third. Again, trail it off down to the apex. Starting to get back on the gas at the apex. Right, our next braking for the S's here, for the chicane, is just after the turn left sign that we're going past now. Braking up to about 70, 80%, trailing it off down to the first apex. We're in third gear. Once we get to the first apex, we're just going to floor it so that by the time we get through to the second apex, we are already well into 100%. It's a bit bumpy through that. Right, the braking mark is quite tricky, as you can see, to come into the Melbourne hairpin. But basically, there's a little rise here, and when we get to the top of it, that's when we're braking up to about 80%. Why pull that speed off in a straight line and trail it off down to the apex, dropping it down to second? You've really got to get your left hand over. If you look at the telemetry, if you look, my steering is probably the most I've ever turned it in one of these cars. Almost totally upside down. Feeding the power back on. and the reverse is going to be true. So once we get onto the rumble strip again, braking up to 80%, wipe all that speed off, and again, really turning that wheel to try and get the car turned in. Trying to be patient on the gas until you know that you're going to make the corner. And then up to 100%, and over and across the line in at 33.6. We have one final version coming up now with the driving line on without me talking. Enjoy.